Okay, let's go over real quick the pattern that I have for this little minnow. It's a it's just using some chenille, micro chenille, a little bit of rabbit, and some just straight printed eyes that you can get anywhere. I happen to make my own on a silhouette cameo craft cutter. One of the things that I do so I don't waste my tying thread is to just use a cheaper regular sewing thread to lay a base on the hook. And to do that, I just go like this, and I keep a tag out here so that I can hold the tag out. And as I'm wrapping, what happens is, if you look here, as I'm wrapping it, the tag is grabbing the thread and pulling it right back in pretty tight to each wrap, so that I've got a real nice consistent wrap all the way from the eye of the hook all the way back to the bend of the hook. Pretty simple thing to do. And the reason why I put that on there is because when I wrap this hook with the chenille, I will throw a little super glue on these threads right here. So just go ahead and get yourself a base laid down, cut that off, and then just go to your regular tying thread and start it in the back where you're going to tie in the tail of this minnow. It's pretty simple. Now what I use is this palmered chenille. It's pretty nice stuff. It's a crystal color. And then what I do is I'll grab about a little over a quarter of an inch, between a quarter and 3/8 of an inch in there somewhere, and then just cut off a little tag, and that's all I need for the tail. Okay, so the way I do this is I pull the fibers, because it's been inside that packaging and it got all twisted up, but to get this thing to lay down nice and flat, I'll kind of pull it, warm up my fingers like so, and pull it through. It's almost like ironing the stuff. And then what I want to do is cut me a little taper on the end here. Don't worry about getting it perfect, but cut a little taper on the end here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of make a little cut right here, and another cut right here where I put a point on it, and then I'll come in on the point and I'll cut a V right in the point, just like that. And then I'll take the scissors straight in and just hit there, just kind of to thin it out some more. And then what I'm going to want to do is roll this material onto itself so that it ends up looking like that right there. Cut that little piece off and then tie the tail in back in the back here. And you're going to want this thing to be half the length of the hook, is the way I do it. Half the length of the hook. Just tie that in, and then what I'll do is I'll drop the fibers down around the hook so that it's on both sides, and then all the way towards the bottom between the gap, inside the gap of the hook. That way the material's evenly spaced around the hook. Then some really light wraps just to get everything encased there, and then give a little pull, and that kind of locks everything in. Okay, just like that. You see this here, and then just right back towards the front, just real light wraps, just like that, and put that in there. Then take yourself some of this chenille. It's really small stuff, but this is a crystal chenille. Oops, I want to get away from it there. And cut it like that. Now what you could do is, I've actually taken some of this stuff, and where did I put it, and just wrapped it up on a spool so that I can run it through and I don't have as much waste that way. It's no big deal though. You can do it this way, or the amount of waste that you're going to have is kind of minimal. So run that to the front like that, the thread, and then leave your little tag end of crystal chenille, and then, oops, well, I'm dropping the super glue there. And then just run, not a whole lot. If you get a bubble on there, all you need to do is just run it across the top like a pin. All you're doing is just wetting that regular thread. And then take your chenille and run it to the front. And stop maybe about 1/8 of an inch back from the eye of the hook there. And then wrap it on. Cut that little tag off and set the rest of it aside for another fly. And then build yourself just a slight little platform here. And what this platform is going to do is help keep your rabbit that we're going to cut here in a minute. This platform helps bring the thread up to the diameter of the chenille. Not all the way up, but just enough to keep the rabbit from splaying out way too much. I mean, if you like it that way, that's fine. I mean, this stuff here is just improvisational. I just throw stuff on a hook as I go, and you can do this with about any materials. Just try and keep your proportions as close as you can. If there's any rules, that's the only one that I would say that you need to follow. And then on this wing case here, which is really gills, wing case, whatever you want to call it for this fly, it'll be about halfway back from the eye of the hook. And make sure your thread is towards the line, is towards the chenille on the back side there of the thread, and on the front side of the chenille itself. Lay your little tuft of rabbit on there, grab it with the other hand, and then push down, kind of twisting back and forth a little bit. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get this rabbit to wrap around evenly on the hook. It's okay if the bottom side doesn't have a lot on it, because that'll actually help the hook sink down evenly after it hits the water. Okay, so then I take the rabbit and cut that tag end off of it, like so. Wrap it on around, just to cover the head, and like so, and then finish it off, half hitch, or however you want to tie it off. Finish it, whatever. Cut it. Then take your eyes on this one. This is a size 2 Gamakatsu B10S hook. So what you want to do is just take an eye. I use an 1/8 inch eye. You can use larger ones if you want to, but I'm using about an eighth inch eye here, and putting it on just like that, and then coming to the other side and put it on just like that. Now, you don't want to worry about it wrapping, around the hook. You kind of want this gap up on top, because what that does is it allows your UV clear finish to put a little bead on the top between the two eyes. So what I'm going to do is lay a little bit down in there. And this is UV thin, but it's still thick enough to where it'll hold up pretty well. And then put your light to it. On the first time around, you don't have to put your light on too long. Just put it on there long enough to keep it from flowing around, and then flip it around on the other side. Do the same thing. Just put yourself a little bead of UV in there, and hit it again with the light. Again, right now I'm just wanting to set it up real quick so that I can get my final finish on there, so that you can get that 3D effect on your printed eyes. Instead of buying 3D eyes, you can just put a little bead on there and a little bead on that eye. That puts a little dome on there. It's called doming. It's what we used to do in a sign industry. And then once you have it, if you have a rotary vise, which is really good to have if you're going to get into tying, flies. It just helps out a lot. By spinning this like this, it allows that flow to even out all the way around, top and bottom. And then I hit it with the light while it's still spinning. And once it is in there for about 3 or 4 seconds, it's long enough to where the flow will no longer drip on you. So this helps out a lot. And then you can hold your light, your UV light on the clear finish a little bit longer. I do have a it's a Loom UV light that's got the 2 batteries in it, which allows for more more power to that little UV diode down inside your UV diode light inside there. The more power you have to the light, the more power that it's putting out, and the better cure you're going to get. 1 battery lights work, but it just takes a little longer to finish them off, and that's it. I mean, this little minnow here, you can change them up. You can use whatever color rabbit that you want. It's an extremely easy fly to tie, as you can see right there. Looks like on this one I was a little bit sparse on the rabbit, but it's no big deal, because this will fish just as well as the ones that have a little bit more rabbit on them, like this one, for example. If you tie, this is what I'd want to shoot for, this particular one right here every time. That's what I would want. I like that profile and the collar and everything. But if you get one like this, it's going to fish. I mean, it's going to fish. Don't worry about getting your flies absolutely perfect. Just tie them, have fun. Don't worry about what anybody else says. Just tie them, have fun, go out there and sling them, catch yourself some fish. And that's really about all I got to say. You can see it's a very, very easy pattern. Pretty much a woolly worm without the hackle wrapped on it, and put some eyes on it, and that becomes a nice little minnow pattern. Hope you got something out of this. This is Mike. Please subscribe if you got something out of it again, and until the next video, I'll catch you later.